So everyone, thanks for being here. We'll start off with a land acknowledgement and then I'll introduce our speaker, Shirley Hootch. So thank you. I'm Jackie Fernandez Hamburg. Thank you, Friends of Sheldon Jackson Museum, private donors, the Maxwell Hanrahan Foundation, excuse me, and other for supporting the program. We always begin our public programs with this land acknowledgement from the Friends of Sheldon Jackson Museum. We would like to acknowledge and express our appreciation to the indigenous people of Tlingit who have occupied this land for longer than any of us can imagine, and after 250 years of colonization in Alaska are graciously allowing us to share this amazing land with them. Thank you so much. We've had the pleasure of having Shirley Hootch here for almost 3 weeks. She is wrapping up her residency, and our next artist in residence will be Sydney Akagi. She's a Tlingit, Chilkat, and Ravenstail weaver coming to us from Juneau, Alaska. She starts on August 18th. She'll be giving a talk as well and also teaching a Ravenstail class. So keep your eyes open for that. And Shirley is a Yupik jeweler from Emmonak, a village in Western Alaska. While growing up, she came from a long lineage of artists and learned a lot from her grandfather, a mask carver. She specializes in handmade earrings made of fossil and walrus ivory and also works in baleen and surfboard resin. She divides her time between Hilo, Hawaii and Wasilla, Alaska, and sources her ivory and baleen materials through her family in Alaska. She's got family up north. And she decided that she wanted to make mask earrings, just like her grandfather had made masks. She'll be talking to you about that today and sharing a lot of other wonderful examples of her work. And we're so sad to see her leave. So please join me in welcoming Shirley Hootch for our presentation.
So yeah, I live in Hawaii and my mom, all my family lives here in Alaska. And I remember the first time I was interested in art was when I went to go visit my great grandfather in Emmonak, and he was really old, and I was like 5 years old, and I looked up on his wall, and up there was a crow's head, just the head on a backboard, right? And I wondered how he made that, and I couldn't figure it out. We were just in the village, middle of nowhere, we had no Home Depot. No place to get some like supplies just to carve things. We had to make our tools out of wood and ivory. We used ivory for spare points and other kind of weights. But my uncle Douglas, he was an earring maker, and he used a lot of walrus ivory and fossil ivory, and that I was his sander, I was his laborer in high school, and so that's how I got to sand. I have a great sanding pattern that I mean, it seems like that people love my shine. Here's a shiny thing. So I make jewelry, and you guys can come up here and touch this if you like. It's no problem. I started out with wood because it's lighter, and I wasn't sure how to get ivory in Hawaii. I wanted one day in 2017, I wanted to make a mask for my mom to send her a gift for Christmas, but I was like, that thing is going to be huge and it's going to cost me a lot to ship to Alaska. So my friend Kim, who's a jeweler, said maybe you should make her a pair of earrings. And I was like, hey, that's a great idea. And so we got the mask earring and we shrunk it down into a pair of earrings, and that was easy to ship. And she loved it. She loved the earrings that I made her. And so people online saw it and they wanted to buy my mask earrings. And so I started a whole business of just wooden mask earrings, added feathers and different colors. And there's a book going around if you guys want to see them. And my uncle Chuck, he is a hunter in Point Hope, which is above the Arctic Circle. And he's on the whaling team, and that's where I get baleen from. And I use baleen also to make earrings because it's very dark and it shines up like glass, like very black glass, and it's light, and it comes in bulk, so we could make plenty earrings out of one slab of tooth. And the walrus also comes from Point Hope. It's a lot heavier. So, and it's a lot harder to work with, and I have to use these tools here, like a sanding block and a Dremel tool to carve it down to make the different shapes. I use a lot of files, very small files, of course, because they're just earrings, small things. And a lot of sanding paper. So basically and one main tool that I don't have here is my favorite is a bandsaw, and it cuts all my shapes of all the things that I want to work on. But the bandsaw is one of my favorite tools. The first thing I bought when I sold my first earring was a hacksaw. And just so I could cut things, And after that, I bought a bandsaw. So the bandsaw is better. But this is a Dremel. That's also one of my mail tools that carves down the shapes and the curves and the dips and drills holes in the pieces that I need. And here's a mask. Sorry. Here's a beginning of a mask earring that's just been painted, and I will add feathers and earring hooks on it eventually. But all it starts out is just a chunk of wood, and it's glued back to back so I could make it identical to each other. And when I paint it, I'll separate it and, start the process of making an earring out of it. But the wood is the lightest style of earring that I make. And then the next lightest is baleen. The heaviest is walrus ivory. And um, any questions?
Have you tried to do anything with materials in Hawaii?
Yeah, I use surfboard resin. My friend, she makes a lot of jewelry out of um uh pearls and shells. And so now we started using a surfboard resin that's been peeled off the floor and just cut into pieces, sanded, and it comes real shiny. It's just plastic. I don't use a lot of shells because they're brittle. Got to use water and special different kind of tools to drill into glass or shell and pearl. Yeah, it's different from ivory and wood. Wood is easier, and wood and ivory use basically the same kind of tools. Like if I were to use glass and pearl, I'd have to use a different set of kind of tools. So I remember when I was young, we used to go in this gaziak. I was about 8 years old, and it was a mud house that they had built in our community. And we used to go in there, and there used to be all the elders sitting around the edges and just waiting for a dance to start. We'd have to just crawl in there, sit either on the floor or on a bench on top, and just sit there and wait for them to start drumming. And the only way in and out was just a little hole, like an igloo hole, like a trap hole. But we had to behave. They used to tell us scary stories, like really scary stories about like a big mask with a big face that would come and get you if you were mischief. I think they were just trying to keep us inside, really. But yeah, so I'm from Emmonak, which is over here. I don't know where you guys can see. That's Emmonak. This is Alaska. There's Emmonak. Um, our land is very flat. We don't have any timber. And we're at like 10 miles from the mouth of the Yukon, so all the sediments from the Yukon spread out right in the ocean. So we don't get any whales off the coast of Alaska where we live. We have to travel beyond that, like 10 more miles out. So we get a lot of beluga whales, which are smaller, a lot of seals, a lot of seabirds, a lot of berries and tea, a lot of plants that grow there, except for timber. That's my daughter, Kahea. Yeah, we raised her in Alaska until she was second grade, and from second grade, we sent her to Hawaii to get to know her Hawaiian side. Yeah. The blueberries in the tundra.
Anytime you press this, it'll go to the next slide.
Oh, okay. And this is Emmonak. These are my cousin's hunting seals. We hunt them traditionally with a spear and a spear thrower, which we call a nuguk. We don't shoot them or anything because we just grew up this way, hunting traditionally with spears, and we just love it that way. That's my brother, looking for salmon. And he's also looking for wood for the smokehouse because we smoke our salmon. There's my mom with her salmon. Our salmon is very oily, so compared to here, yeah, it's a very, very oily salmon. Very huge. I mean, they're huge like this because they haven't swam up the stream yet to lose all their fat. Not yet. And that's what it looks like when it's cut in a smokehouse. We smoke it with cottonwood. And that's what it is when it's dried, and you could just store it in a cool, dry place or in Ziploc bags, and it'll stay all winter. This is a gudok that my mom makes with the salmon berries and blueberries that we pick off the tundra, with the Sailor Boy cracker, which is our favorite cracker. Most Emmonak people like Sailor Boy crackers. I was gonna say Alaskans, but I haven't seen any here. Yeah, they're great. Yeah, I like them toasted. I take them home back to Hawaii because they don't sell them there.
I brought Shirley salmon dip today, but I brought the wrong.
Yeah, she said, I brought you salmon dip, and I said, Sailor Boys? She said, oh no. So this is walrus. My uncle Chuck lives in Point Hope, and when he's out hunting, like bird hunting or caribou hunting, most of the walrus that I use is found on the beaches, so they're already been decayed or buried in the mud. So we don't hunt for the ivory. We hunt for the meat mostly. There's my mom ice fishing, and during the winter we catch whitefish, which is like pike or cheefish, I think. But we use the white meat of the whitefish to make our gudok or Eskimo ice cream. And we love ice fishing. It's just a great pastime. And there's all of us. We didn't catch any fish that day, so we ordered a pizza and they delivered it to the lake for us. That's at my mom's house in Wasilla. That's a sauna. So the sauna is like it's just where we like steam and bathe, like just get cleaned up. It's just a way that I think, because like in Emmonak, we had saunas, like every house had saunas because we didn't have running water until the 80s. And so that's how we got cleaned up. We built our own little steam house. There's my grandfather. And all of my masks that I make with that have eyes on them, I'll like curve hit their eyes like this, and they remind me of him. These are female dance fans, and they use those for dancing, like at a ceremonial dance or a welcome dance. And they just use those as to help tell your story, to make it dramatic. And so you don't like split the real world and the spirit world, like, open them up or something. There's different sayings of different things. But, and this, oops. That's my hometown. It's over there. So this mask is the spirit of the driftwood, and that's my favorite mask because I honor the driftwood. We use it for everything. We're building houses, tools, boats, earrings, and yeah. Uh, and here's a mask by John McIntyre. He made a huge mask, and I just loved it. And when I started my earring business, I wanted to make my earrings more detailed. So I asked him if I could copy his mask and give it to his wife, of course. And he said, sure. And so I tried it, and that's how the mask, my very first detailed mask came out. And then I started making other things like adding feathers. My feathers will tell you a story. The one with the white feathers is like talking about winter trip, maybe looking for logs under the snow. The ones with the spots might be talking about spring and fall. And then with the dark feathers, of course, might be a summer story. And those are male dance fans. That's what they use on their hands when they're dancing to help tell the story so people can see your emotions. And those are tiny, they're earrings. My mom loved them. And these are just more masks that I have created. I love colors. Oops, that again. This is my Aunt Gail. She lived in Point Hope, and she married a whaler that was on a whaling team. And that's how I source my baleen. And I also make goggles, and I made a dry fish pendant, which was because I just wanted to learn how to see if I can carve stuff. You know, a lot of things I don't know how to do because I haven't watched people actually carve, but a lot of my process is just a learning process. So I like to make anything and everything. That's my mom dancing, celebrating the summer, I think. That was one of the last known chiefs that I knew, next to my grandfather on the right side. He was a great chief. He was the one that made sure that the dance house was well kept and stayed in shape. And those are some of the community members that they're singing a song, dancing. And this is in Emmonak, that's the river that we live on. So where we live, it gets very cold and we get to drive on the river like a highway. And we have to wear fur to keep warm, so we do a lot of hunting. And there's some of my cousins logging because we don't get timber, so we have to travel the Yukon where the logs drift in the summer, and we find them on the edges. We could find them under the snow because they're usually piled up real high. And that's a whale from Point Hope. My Uncle Chucky's in the white. He's in part of the team, so they give him the baleen. He doesn't use it, so I get to get it and make jewelry out of it. And that's here. These are some of the people that come through the museum, and I talk to them about baleen and some of the jewelry that I make. A lot of them like the baleen because it's huge and they can't believe it that it came out of a whale, right? Here's some tourists from Japan. They had fun looking at the baleen too. Everybody seemed to like the baleen parts. And yeah, some guy taking my picture. He said, could you be a little dramatic? I was like, okay. Yeah, and I went to the pioneer home, met the old folks and showed them my jewelry, what I did, where I came from, what kind of sources we use. And some of the women there are from that region where I live. And they said, did you bring some salmon? I was like, no, I didn't, but eventually I did. So a few days later, I eventually brought them some smoked salmon and they loved it. And that's just some pictures of the things that I have up here that I make. I like to cut all my pieces out and have stock. So like if someone were to call me and say, hey, Shirley, I would like something like this. And then I could show them like maybe something like this would work maybe, and it'll be ready to go. And I like to travel with a lot of things. And these are students that were in my class while I was staying here. I had 8 students. They made pendants, necklaces and earrings. Another student sanded a ring and she's gonna put her native name on there. I had another lady bead a pair of earrings that were ivory, and she brought her own beads and beaded around it, and she finished those for her daughter. And here's a young lady that made whale tail earrings, like anyways, it's just out of baleen. She loved it. They're very light. They're kind of big, but they're light. So she liked them. Yeah. Whale tails. And while I was here, I was able to visit the stuff in the museum that's not out in the showcase. So very cool things, you know, from our people. And there's a lot of things that I found that I'd like to try, you know. And I made the mask earrings in a way to preserve it, because when my grandfather was young, I don't think he was allowed to make masks out in the open. Like my whole life, I never saw a mask lying around in the living room. It was always like when we were sleeping or if we were at school, he was probably working on it. And when I came home, it was, you could smell the wood, but you don't see the mask. So when I make my masks, I make them with pride and I make videos for everyone to see, you know, and I'll make as many as I can just to share our culture with the people. And it's not going to be hidden in someone's house. It's going to be on somebody's ear at a dance or at a party somewhere. And, you know, I like that idea. And I got to see some really old masks that are, man, full of details, all kinds of stories. I can't imagine the things that they told the kids about these masks. But yeah, but this mask, I read about it and it's a great mask. And it's a mask that that honors all the animals that we use all year round. And we could honor the masks, the animals with these masks, or we could use this masks to call them forth to come and be plentiful. And that's where I live now. I don't find any fossils over there. I'm not allowed, so, but that's it. Thank you. Guyana is thank you.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
Shirley. Does anybody have any questions for Shirley? Anybody here in the audience in person want to go?
Has there been anything here in Sitka that has inspired you for new creative ideas once you go back
Yeah.
to Hawaii?
I made these here. These are little raven drawings. There's so many ravens here and I love ravens, so, and I see them every morning outside the dorm. And so I made this little raven that I'm gonna be cutting out when I get back. It's gonna be parrot earrings. You want to see this? Oh, yeah, I made a whole bunch of them. So, and then I'll send them to the shops here. You'll find them at the Artist Cove, the Sea Gallery, and another one by the church. That starts with an X, and I'm not sure how to say it. X Hootie or something. X Hootie.
They'll have your name with.
They'll have my name with it, yeah.
So with very little timber, how are your homes heated? Is it from oil heat?
Yeah, a lot of people have heating fuel, which is stove oil, and they have Toyo stoves. But most people have wood stoves. And they just burn trees and drift, because the Yukon River is so big, a lot of logs come down there. So like when they're passing by with the flowing ice, we usually catch them and pull them in. Make spears and boats out of them. I remember my grandfather used to build boats when we were young.
Really wasn't an adjustment for you when you moved to Hilo?
Yeah, it was a lot. I thought I was gonna die from the heat. Yeah, and the funniest thing was like when I went for an interview, I'm straight from the village, right? Out of the village, and I put my nicest jeans on, my nicest t-shirt. I was like, I'm ready to go, Grandma. And she goes, Shirley, you can't go in that. Where are you going, to the beach? I'm like, okay, Grandma. So I had to like, change my style. I couldn't just wear village clothes to the city, right? That was the hardest part I had to get used to. And wearing less. Yeah, that was hard. From going from a lot of fur to a lot of nothing, shorts, bikinis, whatever.
And so how old were you when you went to Hawaii?
Yeah, it was only 11 years old.
Oh.
11 years ago when I left, yeah. And I've been there since. Well, I followed her because she was going to school there, and then after high school, 2 weeks after high school, she left. But I decided I'm gonna stay.
You had mentioned stories being told when you were young.
Uh-huh.
About masks, are any particular masks, do they show up in your art that have a direct relationship to a story?
The driftwood mask, the long mask that's like this, and it has three strings hanging out with feathers attached at the end. I'm not sure of what the significance is with the feathers coming out the mouth, but that's my favorite mask because I just love the smell of wood, and it represents the spirit of the driftwood. Yeah.
And it's a nice spirit.
Yeah, it's a good spirit. Yeah. It looks like this. Yeah, it's a good spirit. So they'd use that mask to praise the driftwood gods or whatever, or call forth the wood so it can come, so it can heal our houses. Mhm.
So do you go back often to
Emmonak? No, I go there once in a while, not often. Yeah, if my grandparents were there, I'd be there more often.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my mom doesn't live there anymore either, so. But my cousins, they live there. I have a lot of family there. They hunt seals and whales and birds, and they still live a very traditional lifestyle. And I'm very proud of them. They do a really good job.
This most about not being in my.
I don't know. I'm not too sure. I like being able to get supplies easily, Emmonak is hard. You have to build your own supplies. You have to, a lot of tools you have to make. Can't just go to the Home Depot, right? So being in the city is easier. Your creativity can spark from looking at the different things you could use. I don't know. There's a lot of things that I'd like to try, but I don't know.
I got a question. Shirley, can you share with us a little bit about your process? Do you sketch out what you're gonna make before you carve it? How do your ideas work? Do you just get an idea in your head and you execute it? What do you do to make it happen?
Okay, so when I think of something, I'll sometimes sketch it, but I'll have to build it first to see if I could actually do it and make it functional. And if I can make it function, then I'll put it in my book. But if I have an idea, I just do hands-on, start building it right away, because that's how I work. People like to draw it out, say where you're gonna cut it. Not me, I just go start cutting. Yeah, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't work, it gets thrown in the scrap pile. But yeah. Here's a book if you want to look at all the different things I've sketched in there. I built almost every one of them. I have 2 books now. Here's a bracelet that I drew in 2019 that I finished like a year later. I don't know, it's running out somewhere.
Maybe it's up there.
Oh yeah, here it is. And different years, each year I might make something new and add to it or change a piece on it.
And you have a lot of humor in your work. You make like tiny airplanes.
Yeah.
You make earrings that say, whatever or as if carved out of walrus ivory.
Yeah.
Kind of cheeky, like you picked humor.
Yeah, you big humor.
Do you get criticism for that from some people? Or?
No, not really.
No.
They just think it's really funny. Yeah, so during the pandemic, I made a toilet roll paper earrings, really tiny. And I said, this toilet paper roll will last you forever. Buy it today, But yeah, I made earrings that said as on one side, if on the other, because a lot of my friends say as if. I'm like, okay. Oh. So there's the toilet paper earrings that I made.
And you've got a high heel pair of earrings.
High heel pair. So I made Eskimo boot earrings, and my daughter here decided she's gonna make a high heel pair, so she did. So we had a boot pair and a high heel pair 1 year.
Was wondering if you had, but sounds like your daughter is interested in.
Not really. Not really, but
Have any friends or any of your family that are interested in your work?
they just like it.
Yeah.
I mean, my grandson Andrew, he lives in Emmonak, and he's come to visit me in Hawaii. And the whole time he was there, like 2 weeks, he made at least 4 pairs of earrings. Yeah, and he loved it. Yeah, he's 14, I think. Yeah, so hopefully he gets into it. I sent him pieces and parts that he could, continue, like finish off or whatever. So hopefully he'll do it. Mhm.
Let's see if we have any questions from people on Zoom. Anybody in the audience? Well, people are looking at Shirley's work in the book. No, anybody? No questions. Okay, well, that's okay. Anybody
you.
else here have anything to ask of Shirley before we sign off? No? Shirley, if you want to share your
Oh, yeah.
Instagram and your website information with folks, feel free.
Okay. So I have Instagram, it's Shirley Hootch Jewelry. If you guys wanna see some of the process that I do. I show how I cut it sometimes. I show how I sand it. Yeah, it shows a process, like what kind of tools I start with. And I'll try to stay in line, like from the piece, I'll show you a piece, I'll cut it for you. I'll shape it and then I'll polish it. So you might, in a lot of videos, you'll find that the process of my videos, how I complete an earring.
And you do something that's pretty cool. You collaborate a lot. with
Oh,
other
I do
artists.
collaborate.
A lot of younger artists, you'll go to AFN and you'll talk to people and then they'll ask if they can work with you. Can you
Mhm.
talk about collaborating and
Sure.
how you like it, how you got started on that?
Okay. Yeah, so I'll make a lot of my friends are beaders, so I don't like to bead too much, so I just make the center parts, and my friends will bead them for me like this, and it makes it more attractive. I think it's just really pretty. I work with Winnie Wong, Denali Dreamscape, Inic Dreamer, at least 4 or 5 ladies here in Alaska. And you could find our jewelry online on Instagram or at AFN. I think that's the only 2 places that we have them because we can't keep them in stock really.
Is there any collaboration between Alaska?
In Hawaii? I do make rings, fossil rings with my girlfriend Kim, and she does the silver work. Yeah, so I mean, but we haven't really created anything Alaskan Hawaiian themed yet. But it's it's a thought. I did make a lei out of walrus ivory, and it had like 49 flowers on it, or 47, I think. Yeah, it was a Pakalana flowers, and we have that flower in our yard, so. And it was just something that I wanted to try to see if I can actually do it. And I have flowers here if you guys like to see that. How I started it. It started out with just a chunk like this, and then I cut the shape of the flower. And then I cut it down even more. And then from here, I start carving the petals like this in and up on the bottom. Yeah.
Wow.
And it turns out to look like a flower. That's a lot of sanding. The sanding takes a lot of your time. So like in the morning, I like sanding when we can't turn on our power tools yet. So we just sit for hours and sand.
And she worked with Tina Harness, who some of you remember from last year. She was an artist in residence, did really great beadwork. She's here. You could look online and find her work and videos of her talking and teaching here too. So lots of connections. Anyway, thanks so much, everybody, for coming to Shirley's talk. And I'm sorry to see her go. Maybe she'll come back someday. We'll see you for Sydney and Augie's presentation, I hope. Thanks so much.
Thank you.